welcome everyone to another Pixelated review. I'm your host, Pixelated Jordan. So, we're getting into the different kind of territory of sci-fi. Now, as you guys know, in one of my older videos, I talked about Halo. Halo being a technical military sci-fi. I love Halo. Halo is amazing. But you know what I really like too? I also like knights. Like knights in shiny armor. I'm not big into fantasy, but I've always liked the knightly design. I think they always look cool. Now, let's put Halo and Knights of the Old together. And what do we get? We get the Unity War books. So, as of right now, there's only 3 books, so I believe there is more to come on the way. It's just that right now there is 3, and I've read all 3 that is out. So, but yeah, this is really cool because I love the fact that they put in, well, knights and space armor and all that. It looks so cool. The Fall of Valdeg was when I saw it. I was like, this looks really cool. I gotta check it out. This seems really cool. And I did. I got it. And I was excited. This was great. Though, my experience with these 3 books, though, like I said, they were still going to continue as far as I could tell, does kind of change later on. But, doesn't stop it from being pretty cool, I gotta say. So, yeah, if you like knights and you like shooting guns in space, then here you go. Here's a series for you then, I guess. I guess it's a trilogy for now, but a series for later. Anyways, so without further ado, let's start this review. Book 1, The Fall of Valdec. The Fall of Valdec starts off with our Karactican Brotherhood. These are the people you see in those the background right there, shooting down people. And they're like basically protectors of space. Basically, if you need help and you're being invaded for evil reasons or something like that, or you're friends with the Karactican Brotherhood, they'll be there. They'll be there to protect you. They're not there for invading really, but they're there to protect you. We get little things in the background, talking about these characters and how they work. Some aliens things. They talked about a sport fighting, like, a sport that you can play with other aliens. Like, that was kind of entertaining. But overall, we get to the meat of the why we're here. You see the cover, you're like, okay, they shoot guns. Where are they shooting that at? Well, Valdec, of course. And it's a little on the nose, the Fall of Valdec, but entertaining nonetheless. The Valdec people called, the Brotherhood. They're like, please, this is our distress signal. Please come help us out. And first they were like, probably not. They probably, it's not that bad. They could probably handle themselves. And then they're like, come on, we're here to help. So they sent like a small squadron of people and they just go over there and they handle it. Well, they found out that this is a lot worse than they realized. It's called Unity War because that's what the people are called. The people that are fighting, the Unities. Basically, it's a mass army of clones that they're fighting. And, and they have no self-preservation. They just keep going. And, yeah, it's actually very entertaining to have this mass of, people coming toward you. And then you're taking them all down, but they're just keep on coming. And I do like how they get into the mind of some of these, the Brotherhood. And, how they think, just these people are not they're not protecting themselves. They're just coming in and they're just dying. And it's entertaining in the sense of you're just fighting and they're just not, protecting themselves. It's weird. And we do get into the later tiers of some people trying to get these guys to make sure they don't all die. But the Brotherhood realized that they're actually genuinely overwhelmed. It's not that they can't handle it, it's just that they don't have the numbers to combat this force because it's overwhelming. And the people who are running the Unity stuff, they want to take over the world, or galaxy, I guess you could say, just to equalize it, to make it all part of one Unity. That's the idea of it. So using a bunch of clones. And there's ideas with the clones. How did they make so many clones so fast and blah, blah, blah. This and that and many more of that good stuff. But the one thing I can definitely say I can criticize that I didn't like personally in this was the action. And it's not that the action was bad, it was that it was slow. The problem with Valdec's action is that it takes every step they make, they put into action. Like, let's say if you're having a sword fight scene, other than saying they furiously clash or something like that, this one just, they fire triggers and they take a step forward. Like, they're really on the nose on every step that they take in that. Some people might enjoy that. For me, I don't. It's because that the combat feels so slow that it doesn't feel like we're progressing anywhere. So when it doesn't do that, it's generally pretty good. But when it's on the nose, like we're seeing every single step, every single time, I get bored, But for how the story was and how the action ended up being later on, it was very entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, okay, I can't wait to see where this Clone War, in a sense, goes, because that's actually very entertaining. So I was excited about it. Now we get to the second book, though. Well, I got some things to say about that. Anyway, I will rate this book. For The Fall of Valdec, I rate it A. I recommend it. Book 2, The Defense of Provania. The Defense of Provania takes place in the future. No, it literally does. Like, actually, like, after we got off, from the first book, we're like, oh, right, now we're going to get on this Clone War. And then we're somehow in the future. Now, the way I know that we're in the future is that there's these knights that are in red, but they are not the Karakin Brotherhood. They are something different. And they were a representation of the Karakin Brotherhood, but at the end of the story, the guy who's with the main protagonist of the story, he talks about, like, yeah, there was these knights and they fought for everything and all that stuff, so I tried to be just as best as they are. And that's when it's like, okay, that's pretty cool, but why are we in the future, right? That's the big problem I had with this book right here. But then again, I didn't have problems with the book. Let me explain it this way. This book was very, very entertaining, and I really enjoyed a lot of stuff from this book. It was action-packed. There was actually like a pretty big invasion stuff that was going on, and it was just impressive, like, what was going on. And like, the aliens that are on that's invading this planet actually was genuinely good. Like, it was thought-provoking, it was crazy, it was just nuts how we got there. And the aliens are just terrifying. But what made it even better is that there was these tribal people who would, and I guess you would say alien to us, but they're tribal people, and they can't speak English or, like how we speak. And throughout the whole, thing is that they're doing sign language. And then the protagonist and the guy who, mind you, his name is Blue Moon Above the Salt Cliff, personal favorite of mine. And it was a really cool thing, seeing this military man just trying to communicate with these tribal guys who they're actually far more advanced than the military people themselves. And it ended up taking the tribe people and, the military might of Provania to combat this threat. And they ended up winning. It was really fun, it was very entertaining. Now, the way it ended, the main guy here, he did stuff he wasn't supposed to by Provanian laws, like military stuff. And he left with the Red Knight guy. And and then he talked about his sister, how she got abducted from the aliens, and now he's on a mission to go find her. And the Red Knight dude's like, I'll be helping you on that journey there. So I guess my problem with this story is that it doesn't continue the story before, which isn't bad. It's just that it's jarring. Now I'm sitting here like, well, I have two different stories I like, but one seemingly takes place in the future, which is odd to me. But yeah, no, I definitely love this one story, just like I did like the other one. And combat in this one was much, much better. If there's still the times where it feels slow, but overall it did do better with its combat. It just, it's a little bit too detailed than it needed to be. Anyway, I'm about to give this guy a rating. The Defense of Provania gets a rating of I recommend it. Book 3. The Alliance Rises. I don't have a lot to say about this book, honestly. The most thing I can say about this book is that the combat is much more better. It's not as detailed as it was before, which is great. It's a lot more smoother. The planet that was on Provania was at the final stand, over there, but obviously it's before the defense of Provania still. So that's kind of a nod. And basically, it's really just this book had its action. It was showing the unity rising in a sense, and they're getting alliances. The alliance of the Kraken Brotherhood, realizing this is a much bigger threat. They're going to need more people than them just themselves. One of the things is that it just kind of ended up nowhere, surprisingly, which kind of sucks. It was more like, hey, they were trying to explore why and how the clones they have are so plentiful and actually working as they do, or how they have so many in a short amount of time. And it's fine, but it's not anything to write home about. And the fights, like I said, they're fine, they work, and they do all the stuff they need to, but it's a whole lot of nothing right now, which kind of sucks, after these two books having a lot of impact and all that stuff, and then kind of going on this one into having fight scenes happen, and there's an explanation about the clones, but that's about it, honestly. Can't really say it impacted like the first two, and I think maybe because I was so jarred about it being in a different timeline, at least the second book, it kind of threw me off guard, and maybe I was just prepared for something else different. I don't know. But this one was okay, I guess, that's all it was. It was a whole bunch of fluff that it works, I guess, if we're trying to build up the story. So hopefully there's more later on. So I guess let me give this thing a rating. So the Alliance Rises gets a rating of forgettable overall. Overall, I do think that there is some good things about this book's series, but it's the third one that kind of just throws things off for just kind of a bad loop, honestly. And that's the messed up part. The two books were solid, but they're so different, and I'm conflicted with the series because I don't know what journey I want to take. The Unity thing sounds a lot of fun, fighting a whole mass army of clones sounds like a great time. But now going on a different adventure that's much more personal for, the man from Provania, I thought that would be really cool. It's hard to say which one I'd rather go on, because first you got me from, the Knights look and all that stuff from the Fall of Valdec, with the Unity Army, Kraken Brotherhood, all that good stuff. Then it was great. And then you introduced me to another set of characters that takes place in the future, and they were great. And now I'm conflicted because two of these stories are just different. One is full-on war against, like defending itself against an endless clone army. The other one is finding, his sister, his family and all that stuff. So it's really hard to say which one is better, And of course, he did continue on in the third book with, clone fighting and all that stuff. But that one just was not as great as the first two, which really sucks. Like, not that it was bad in quality standards and like how he writes and all that stuff. It just didn't meet expectations of where the first one laid off, and then even when it comes to the second one, it would just felt like a whole bunch of basically. But overall, I can definitely say I enjoyed the aesthetics, I enjoyed the fights, and it's not bad. And when it comes to military shooters, this is fine. I can see this playing as a video game, at least, when it comes to the Kraken Brotherhood. I can see that as a video game. Provania, maybe not so much, but it was definitely really good. So, I guess overall, I'm going to give this series, the Unity Wars, a series rating of check it out. Thanks for watching. I want to thank you guys all for watching again, and remember, there's a whole playlist of book reviews, series reviews, and all that good stuff. So if there's anything you want to see, I might have it on there. So well, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys all have a great day.